So what if your partner doesn't want to do therapy because it's too expensive, or he doesn't want to do it immediately afterwards? I would say it's a personal choice whether you want to stay or go, and they don't want to do therapy. As far as them giving you the argument that therapy is too expensive, if it is a priority for them to repair the marriage or relationship, and they love you and they want to have intimacy rebuilt with you, trust rebuilt with you, it's non-negotiable. That is something that they're going to have to do in order to go to essentially rebuild a new marriage with you. A lot of times with finances, we think in economics, we think of like where to prioritize that money. And especially if you've been in a long relationship, some of us have been married to these men for 8, 10, 13 plus years before this whole secret comes spilling out. Through that time, you have kids, you have other priorities, and so your relationship tends to get bumped down to the very bottom of the barrel when it comes to finances. It just doesn't become a priority anymore. Like we can't afford a date. We can't afford to go on a vacation together alone. We can't afford to do therapy. We can't afford to go on a marriage retreat, whatever it is. The marriage needs to be number one priority. It comes down to your marriage and then your kids, your job, etc. Everything is below your marriage. None of us want to see our relationships crumble and fall, right? It's an investment. It's something we've invested a lot of time, emotional energy into, physical energy into, spiritual energy into. So none of us want to see that relationship crumble if we can help it. So if he wants to make the relationship a priority, which is something he needs to figure out, then it sounds like you're committed to it. But if he's not willing to do the work, then that's a red flag. So you can use something like growth therapy where they can do individual counseling. I think it can be anywhere between $85 to $100 a session. If that's too much, sometimes you can apply for financial aid. Your insurance more than likely will cover some type of therapy. So I know growth therapy takes a lot of different insurance programs. I don't know if you're spiritual, but if you are a Christian, oh my gosh, there's like so many different nonprofit marriage counseling programs that take in donations, so they're nonprofit, and they can also help you a lot. I do have one resource I highly recommend, but I need to call them and make sure I can refer people there because I don't know if they have the capacity to handle the amount of people asking me for help right now. But they were very instrumental in our marriage therapy. Should you start therapy afterwards? Yes, absolutely, 100%. I had no idea how deep the trauma was, not just on my side, but his side, and how this had spiraled out of control because corn had become his coping mechanism, and he had been coping with his entire life since the age of 15 through corn. A lot of these men, I've come to learn, have been dealing with this since the ages of 6 or 8. So this is the equivalent of a meth addiction. This is in their brain, the equivalent of that, and psychiatrists and therapists have said that to us. So with dealing with this, 100% getting help. The other thing that they can do that's free is going to an SA meeting, and that's for sexual addiction. Just like an AA meeting, they can go to these meetings for free, and it's a great group. I highly recommend it. I've seen a tremendous difference in my husband from going there, and it's a way for them to stay accountable. And the other thing too is that it's a safe place for them to share their recovery with other men. So a lot of these men are transparent and vulnerable in these groups, and I think it's really helpful for men to see, wow, like if he's struggling with that, I see a lot of similarities in my life and my relationships and etc. And they also, one of the things that really helped my husband was seeing if I continue down this path, I'm going to end up like this guy who's at the age of 60 and has had 3 marriages that have all failed because of this addiction. So it really motivated my husband to realize, if I can keep my first family and I can do the work, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to try and save my first marriage. So too expensive, that's an excuse. There are so many ways that you can get therapy for either a really low cost or for free. If you can, try and find somebody specialized in Gottman therapy. These are the 7 principles that you're going to cover in that. You can pause this, save this video, do a screenshot, whatever you need. But these are life-changing skills to learn in your marriage. And some of us think we know these, but we really don't. So let me know if you found this helpful. I think I'm going to do a second video on different types of therapy, but this one I just briefly kind of skimmed over a few and some resources that are available to you that are free. And if he really wants to rebuild the marriage or the relationship with you, then he will be willing to do the work.